What's up, people? It's your old pal Rob here, and we're on day 4 of the 30 days of meditation. And I've got my funky Thai elephant shirt. It's a nice blue that matches the Sri Yantra, isn't it? So, day 4, and here we are, waiting for a couple people to come aboard. And in the meantime, let's talk about what's up. You know, it's day 4, as I've said. And soon it'll be day 30. And soon you'll be dead. It's a truth to ignore about life. But the truth is that life is short, no matter how you measure it. And we're all going toward the same place, which is the grave or the crematorium. Well, that is if you believe you are the body. But I'm here to tell you that you're more than just the body. The body comes and goes. You know, we have many bodies. We have many nadis. Nadis are the Sanskrit word for energy channels. And one of the main energy channels that we are focusing on, or not focusing on, or stimulating here within this meditation is called the Sushumna. The Sushumna is the central energy channel where the Kundalini rises when you focus on these chakras. So you see me focusing on the chakras in an ascending manner, beginning with the navel, moving up to the heart, and then finishing off with the third eye. Now, when I point to the chakra, what I'm doing is I'm giving myself a little reminder of where to focus. So if you're following along in the meditation, that's what I'm doing. I'm not necessarily prompting you to move on to the next chakra, but if you want to feel or think that, that's fine. So here it is, Saturday, and we're sitting down to meditate, some of us. And most of us are out shopping, working, playing. And, you know, most people aren't thinking of meditating on a Saturday or a Friday night because the world has so much distraction to offer. And that's just the way of the world, isn't it? It's always been that way. There's always been the town square, the shops, the local pubs, social gatherings, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. If that's what you're attracted to, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. But for those of us that are not satisfied with the day-to-day doings of the world, we seek a different path on a Saturday. And we seek meditation because we're looking for something. We're looking for something deeper, something with more meaning, something with more truth to it. And on a day like this, it's very easy to just say, you know what? F it. I'm not going to meditate. There's no need. Because I'm just going to sit down on the couch and veg out and Netflix and chill and drink a beer and watch the game or whatever you do. And that's fine. I'm not judging you at all. There are options and we're all free to choose what we will. And that's the beauty of it. What I'm here to do is provide another option to support another way, because I don't see enough support of things like meditation and the pathway to self-discovery. And you know, there are a lot of young people out there that need options. We're given such a narrow path in life. You know, you grow up, you go to school, you go to work, you get married, you have kids, you retire, and you die, right? Seems very limited in terms of what's available option-wise in this world. And so I'm here to promote meditation, to give you another option, to give you a pathway, to give you a discipline, and to promote what's worked for me. I've always sought discipline in my life because it gives me structure. It gives me something that I can rely on to have like a self-reflective mechanism to know that I'm making progress in life. When I started learning martial arts when I was young, I was never really interested in fighting, although I guess it's a useful skill to have, self-defense. I was interested in self-mastery. I knew that the art and the skill and the discipline of martial arts was something that would give me the satisfaction of knowing that I'm doing something worthwhile for myself. I'm doing something worthwhile in my life, that I'm on a pathway of improving myself. And this is what meditation is. It's part of that pathway of self-improvement. You might be into a lot of self-improvement books. It's good to perfect what you can perfect. Perfect the mind, perfect the self, perfect your skills, perfect your art, whatever it might be. I think it's a good path to pursue. Whether you're a writer, whether you're a musician, whether you're a dancer, an artist, a painter, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a dentist, your skill and perfecting that skill is a worthwhile pursuit, because through the perfection of your skill and through the development of your art, we reflectively perfect ourselves. We are born into this world, an imperfect world, and it's only imperfect through the perception of an imperfect lens. If you see the world as it truly is, you see the world is perfect as it is. And this is something very hard to accept for a lot of people, to accept things as they are. Gandhi had a saying, be the change that you want to see in the world. A lot of times we feel that we have to go out and change the world, and yet we spend no time in changing ourselves. And the wisdom of the enlightened, the wisdom of the masters will tell you that all change begins with the self. And meditation is a great way to reflect on that change. How will you change today? Is today the day where you say, hey, I'm going to go shopping at the mall. I'm going to go eat the tacos, and I'm going to go indulge myself and indulge all my senses? Or is today the day you say, I've done that before. It gave me a little temporary pleasure and a little temporary happiness. And heck, I'm not averted to pleasure. I love pleasure. It feels good. I love to eat good food, to feel good feelings. And you should enjoy yourself. And part of the pathway of meditation is learning how to enjoy yourself, learning how to love yourself first. If you can't love yourself, how can you love another? Truly, sure, we can fake it, but we must first love ourselves. This is step one. And on a day like this, it's very easy to get caught up in the world. And this is part of what renunciation is about. Renunciation is typically known in the spiritual circles as someone who's interested in self-discovery, meditation. They go up into the mountain and they get away from the world, and they sit in the cave and they meditate and they become enlightened or whatever. And for most of us, this is not a very practical approach. We live in a modern society. We live in the world of jobs, money, homes, cars, families, security. And for many people, they think that they need to remove themselves from that for a while in order to find themselves, because it's so easy to get caught up in the world, the world as it is, the world as a machine, as a consumer based society. It's very easy to get lost because it's like, as human beings, we want to belong to the group. We don't want to be an outcast. We don't want to be the loner. We don't want to be alone because we seek community, because we seek relationship. Sometimes we forego what we truly know is best for ourselves. And so we join the groups. So we join the societies. We join the TV culture. We join the church groups. We join the football fanatics. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're at many different levels here on this earth plane, and that's the beauty of it. You know, there's such a wide spectrum of variance here in this dimension. It makes it interesting. You know, if we were all the same, it would be really boring, wouldn't it? And but if you're a seeker of self-discovery, if you're someone who is, you know, tasted what the world has to offer, and it tasted good for a while, but now it's maybe perhaps leaving a sour taste in your mouth. Well, maybe meditation is the path for you, because it gives us a chance to taste the truth, that eternal nectar that is within all things, the essence, the truth, the vitality, the reality of life, which is truly what everything is. We all are that. But we get caught up in the world. We get caught up in the groups. We get caught up in society's attractions, the pursuit of riches, the pursuit of material wealth, the pursuit of happiness in various ways that, you know, don't really leave us very happy. You know, a lot of people want to be rich, and I understand that. And I think money is a good thing to have. But to make your life pursuit about money will not lead to happiness. And this is proven because, you know, some of the richest people in the world are definitely not the happiest people in the world. In fact, some of the people who have the least material wealth are some of the happiest people in the world. What a fascinating dichotomy, paradox that is, isn't it? And why is that? Well, because this is all temporary. How can you place your happiness on the temporal world when it's going to change, when it's all going to be lost in the end? You know, we only have so much time here in this body, in this world, in this life. And that's why it's good to have a sense of urgency toward your self-discovery. Not to rush, not to be so enthusiastic that you have to get it all done today, but to have a sense of balance. Balance is extremely important on the spiritual path. Not to be overly zealous or overly interested or too crazy about it, and definitely not to be too relaxed and too lazy and too laid back about it. Somewhere in the middle, we find the perfect medium of spiritual balance. And it's one of the most difficult things to find in this world because we live in such a fast-paced rat race society, culture, where we're all running. We're racing. And I've been guilty of it too. I like to drive fast. Sometimes I get irritated in traffic, like we all do. And we all have our little triggers that remind us that we've got work to do. You know, for you, it might be something different. For me, sometimes my patience needs improvement. And the important thing is that we recognize these things, and that when they do arise, we recognize them. We observe them as simple tendencies. It's not who we are. It's not what defines us. But, you know, it's important to recognize these things so that we can transcend them, because it's these things, these tendencies, that are the traps of self. And ultimately, we have to transcend the self, because the self, the ego, what we experience as our individual separate identity, is the roadblock that we face. You know, there's a practice in self discovery in yoga called selfless giving, where, there's many paths to realization, there's many paths to enlightenment, many paths to God, as some people call it. And, don't get caught up in the words. I'm using a lot of words here right now. And as I stated before, it's not a matter of what I'm saying here. Don't listen to me. Just watch me meditate. That's why you're here. When I sit down to meditate, if you can sense something, if you can sense that I'm getting progressively more still, that's what's important. Again, I'm no master, but I am here to learn just like you are. I'm here to train just like hopefully you are. And this is a training process of overcoming the self-indulgent tendencies. It's funny, we catch ourselves talking to ourselves, narrating our situation like a documentary. It's hilarious. We're in the shower and we're running this movie in our mind. It's crazy, right? And it's good to have a sense of humor and laugh at yourself a lot. It's good to be serious, but it's good to have a sense of humor about this, because we're not in a state of perfection yet. Maybe we never will be. What is perfection? Well, there's got to be some perfection in the world. And without getting too far off track, which, I love to do, I'm like the adjacent tangent master here. And I'm running out of water, so I know I got to meditate soon. So, without going too far off into tangents, there is perfection. You can find perfection in the world. Geometry is one good example of perfection. Tell me a triangle, a perfect equilateral triangle, is not perfect. Tell me a perfect circle is not perfect. How could it not be perfect? It's perfect. A perfect square, a perfect cube. There is perfection, my friends. It exists. Perfection is everywhere. Life is perfect. It's the imperfect lens that we tend to look at life through that makes us feel that life's not perfect. And sure, there's a lot of what could be perceived as problems in the world. There's a lot of things that could be better, but that's what this dimension is for. This is not our destination. The earth plane is a school for learning to pass through. Just as once we were in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, elementary school, high school, we pass through these levels, we pass through these grades, these stations of life. And there are many that get held back. There are many that keep cycling in a lower grade, let's say. There's still a lot of people in kindergarten. They're stuck. And that's okay. That's what this world is for. For us to know that, and know we have options, and know we can go beyond those levels if we wish, if we choose. But you should have a sense of urgency, which is why I'm closing down the group training program today. I've given the announcement, I've given you the chance, but there's got to be a time when it gets shut down, because I want to work with the people who have the interest. And it's good to have a sense of urgency. We only have so much time left in this world. Heck, we don't even know how much time we have left, unless you're really psychic and you can foretell the future. And I believe that is possible for some. You know that life doesn't go on forever. We live in a society where we're very, we hide death away. We don't we don't have a good relationship with death. We forget that life is temporary. We think we're going to live forever. We think science is going to come up with the way to transfer our consciousness into some sort of robot clone body. I'm afraid that may not happen. And I'm not really afraid about it. I just don't want you to have illusions that you'll be disappointed. You know, death is part of life. Every single night when we go to sleep, it's a death. We have no problem drifting off to sleep, knowing that we'll wake up again the next day. This is life. Life is about faith, change, knowing that we'll be born again. But if you're sick of the inane, repetitious, cyclic circle of life, well, this is why the Buddha points away from the wheel of life. He says, get off the wheel. The wheel of life is the repetitious cycle of our minds. We're constantly repeating the same shit, the same information, the same approach, the same perception. And this is due to the conditioning that we've received ever since day one. I speak of this often because it's so important to know that meditation is a process. If it's true meditation, like the one I'll be demonstrating today, the single-pointed mind meditation, if it's real, it changes you. It allows you to overcome, little by little, the tendencies of mind. This is why we sit still. Because when we sit still, all the tendencies come out. The tendency to want to move, the tendency to want to squirm, the tendency to want to itch, the tendency to want to twitch. And no, that's fine if you're cool with that. Again, this is not about judging. This is about information, knowing that there's another possibility. Self-mastery is a path that I take seriously. And if you take it seriously as well, then know that you're in the right place, and meditation is a path that you can pursue. So let's get to it, shall we? Now, you've seen me meditate here to silence during the daytime meditation. Hopefully you've seen me meditate to music in the evening meditation. Well, it's good to have a few tricks up your sleeve. I'm blessed to have an autistic son, and sometimes he likes to make a lot of noise in the house. And so to have music as a way to kind of have a backdrop, if you live in a noisy home, if you live in a city, if you live in an apartment where you're hearing the neighbors or whatever, I recommend noise canceling headphones with music. Sometimes that can be very helpful. So today I'll be meditating to music, and this is the music that's available for free download right at the top of the group in the announcements section. It's a group called Zazen. Excuse me. This group is an awesome progressive jazz, new age rock group. They put out a number of albums. These two albums that I meditate to are designed to meditate to in the morning and in the evening. So you've got two albums. The morning album for your morning meditation is called Enlightenment. The evening album is called Canyons of Light. So each song that I'll be doing times each step during the 4 steps to stillness. And so follow along. I think you'll like the music. You can download it for free. I like to program it on my phone so that it's available in sort of a playlist. I choose the songs that I like. There's 15 songs on each album. And each song will help lift you higher. Music evokes emotion. I love music. And, it's probably one of the best gifts that we have here in the world, in my opinion, music. Because music is the one thing that can get you high without drugs. And that's a good thing, because drugs just bring you down. But music has always been a love of mine. I'm a musician. This is some awesome music. It's different from meditation music that you've perhaps heard before. in that it's not the typical drone or just somebody hitting a synthesizer and changing some notes. This is real music by some really awesome, talented musicians. And there are two ways you can meditate to music. So if you're in my group coaching program, which will be closing soon, so enroll now. Send me your private message right here on Facebook. I'll be letting any stragglers that I've had, some people, message me that were interested. So, get to me quick, and we'll get you in the group no later than today. Okay, guys? So here we go. The way to meditate to music is twofold. Today I'll just be using the music to time each step during the meditation, but there's other ways to meditate to music, which I'll be going over in the private group coaching program. Okay, here we go. Well, and we're back. So already in the past 4 days, I've noticed that there's an improvement in my own practice. You know, you learn something new every single time you meditate. It's important not to judge the meditation while you're meditating. The important thing is to notice how you feel afterward. There should be a sense of stillness, calm, refreshment, a sense of being in the moment after you meditate, because what you're training your mind to do by holding still on these energy centers is you're training the mind to be in the moment, because our mind is constantly wandering off toward distractions, towards sensorial tendencies, towards remembering or projecting what we'll be doing later, etc., etc. When we train the mind to hold still on a feeling which is present, it's very real, then when you come out of the meditation, you're in a state of mindfulness, and then you practice your mindfulness. Without the meditation training, true mindfulness is very difficult, because the mindfulness is effortless after the meditation. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to adjust anything. It's just happening, and that's cool. So let's see if there's any questions you guys have for me while we're on. And Pam says, how you doing, Pam? Pam says, I am constantly in a documentary trying to provide information. Like, quiet for a few moments. This is a beautiful activity. I find it hard to stop commenting on my experience as I meditate. And that's a very common thing that we do, is while we're in the middle of meditation, this is one of the mental tendencies that we have. The tendency to constantly narrate our experience, to talk to ourselves. It's completely normal, but it's completely insane. And it's completely overcomable, actually. Because the more we train, the more we're in a mind of no thought, no narration, no mental chatter. And as you progress in your meditation training, this will be the natural state of your mind. Your mind is not naturally so active. But there's one good thing to remember, my friends, is that we are all sensitive beings. We're all psychic, meaning that we feel and we sense, and we are constantly having impressions from the world around us. So our mind, when we go out into an area that's not so densely populated, when we take a walk in the woods, for example, perhaps on a trail that not many others have walked before, you'll notice that the mind gets very quiet. You know, go to an area in the woods that's very quiet and very still, and you'll notice it's very easy to just be in the moment, still the mind, listen, and have that sense of peace. Now go into a city, a very highly populated area, and then you'll notice that the mind just becomes very active. We're all psychic. We're all born that way. My teacher used to tell me that there was an episode of Star Trek that Spock in Star Trek was psychic, and he was telling Kirk that they didn't train to become psychic on Vulcan, that they were already psychic, that they trained to keep other people's thoughts out of their mind. And I think that that's a clue as to what's going on, is that we have these active minds because we're constantly being imprinted, absorbing all the thoughts and energies around us from all the people. We have an aura, a body of energy. And even though it might be not in our conscious awareness at the present moment, it's still picking up energies. These chakras are energy receivers and they're energy transmitters. Just like a crystal. A crystal, which is what the basis of a radio is. Crystal transmits and receives energy. So, it's important to know what a still mind feels like, because without knowing what your mind feels like when it's still, it's very difficult to know what you want, who you are, and what your thoughts and feelings are, what your desires are. A lot of times people are just carrying out the thoughts, desires, and dreams of others. So, yes. She goes on to say, I find it hard to stop commenting on my experience as I meditate. Exactly. And this is just the distracting, commenting chatter that I'm talking about. Every time that happens, you simply bring your mind back toward feeling the chakra. It happens to me. I'm not perfectly still. I'm not in a state of absolute stillness and no thought yet. But every time my mind wanders, I bring it back to the focal point, whether it's my heart chakra, third eye, whether it's the yantra, or what have you. The single-pointed mind technique is like weight training. Every single time you pull back to the object of focus, it's like a repetition. Your willpower, your concentration ability will get stronger to the point where you're able to hold attention on that point without so much effort. In the beginning, there might feel like there's a lot of effort to do this, and this is totally normal because we're breaking out of the automatic mental tendencies that we have, and that's really as simple as it is. Tanya asks, what music is that? Please share the music information. Well, Tanya, that music has been available for free download in the announcement section at the top of the group ever since. So it is awesome music, and I love it. It's very emotive and evokes emotion as you meditate. And each song kind of references a higher dimensional plane. It's special music, trust me. And I recommend downloading it, putting it on your phone, and just meditating to it. It's a great backdrop too. So there's many ways to use the music. The music acts as sort of an energetic buffer, not only to cancel out noise in the environment, but also to provide a high energy plane, almost as if you're meditating in a beautiful power spot. And there are power spots on the earth. Perhaps you've heard of vortexes and areas where it's easier to meditate, to feel other planes of awareness, to feel other dimensions. Sedona, Arizona is a very popular one. If you've ever been to Sedona, you know when you go to the vortex, there's a feeling there that is very special. So, all right. Well, there you go, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you in the next meditation. Take care.